My name is Jaclyn Digregorio, and I'm the author of The CUSP Method, your guide to balanced portions and a healthy life, and the founder and CEO of CUSP 365. The CUSP Method combines psychology of human eating habits and cutting-edge nutritional research to guide readers to live happy, healthy, and balanced lives. CUSP stands for Concentrate, Understand, Supplement, Portion. It teaches people how to think, not what to think, so that they can apply these methods into their lives and make healthy, happy decisions no matter where they are or who they're with. Yeah, I remember exactly the day I was writing about my story and the times that I really struggled due to being overweight, 30 pounds overweight. It caused me to really lack confidence, and that impacted into all areas of my life. So I was concerned about saying that my GPA had dropped, because as a Georgetown student, I want everyone to think that I'm very intelligent, and as someone who's running a business that people are purchasing products from, oh no, she had a low GPA at one semester, and I didn't want anyone to think that about me. So I remember asking, should I say that? What should I say about this? And then I kind of realized that people can relate to real people. I'm not some fake person who's hired to act, but it's my real story, and nobody's perfect, and everyone goes through bad times and good times, and when you're really honest and vulnerable about them, I think that's when people can relate to you the most, and I found that to be true. So I'm really happy that I was very honest about my story and didn't sugarcoat it at all, because people can really understand what I went through, and a lot of people can share similar things that maybe they wouldn't have the confidence to talk about. But now that I've overcome it, I do. I think that I am an extreme risk taker, and I think that I convince myself that I can do anything I put my mind to, and that as long as I work extremely hard, I can defy the norm and the standard. So, like with my Kickstarter, I'm trying to raise $20,000 in the next 27 days, which is extremely difficult because I'm well aware that my personal network just doesn't have that. So I'm really, hustling as much as I can and reaching out to as many people as I can. And I think that as hard as I worked on the book taught me a new sense of hard work. Like, although I've always worked hard in school, it's not the same. It's not constant thinking, waking up in the middle of the night with an idea and writing it in a note on your phone. And so I think, like you told us that we would experience, I'm starting to see how lessons I learned from writing the book really apply to my career as an entrepreneur. I was like, oh no, I'm an awful writer. I don't think this is going to work out. I wanted to start a business. Like, why am I taking this class? Like, I signed up for the class really last minute, actually. I remember one day I was at my internship, supposed to be working, and I was looking at my schedule, and I only had signed up for 4 classes because I didn't need 5 that semester to graduate. And so I was like, And I was really developing my business ideas, and I was pretty set on, being an entrepreneur upon graduation, but I kind of wasn't sure what direction I wanted to go. So I was like, you know what? Let me just take this class. It could change my life. I guess I identified the need that my product solved, and then I tried to articulate the need and other ways to solve it in the book. So the book didn't talk about the product at all, but just the need and ways to solve it. And so I did that by interviewing people and trying to see if they identified the same needs. And then when I found some really great stories of people who had similar issues that I did and similar things that the product actually aims to solve, that's what I kind of ran with. And after my first draft, I realized that everything I talked about had a theme, but I needed to put it all together. So that's when I came up with CUSP, and I really identified everything as in one of the 4 steps and really brought everything together. So I interviewed Dr. Brian Wansink, and for those of you who don't know, he's the head of the Food and Brand Lab at Cornell, which is one of the top food and brand labs in the world, where they do a lot of food research, and he is the founder of a lot of research in terms of plate size and portions, and very well respected man. He formed the 2010 USDA guidelines, which I base a lot of my things off of. And so I first emailed him, and he responded to me saying, like, read my book, because his book obviously says everything in it. So I read both of his books in one weekend, and I loved them, but I obviously had more questions because I'm quite curious. So I told him, I read it and I would love to still interview you. And I was extremely nervous because this is someone who's really important, and I don't really talk to important people often. So I was shocked to know on the phone that he was extremely down to earth, and it was a very casual conversation where he dove deeper into a lot of the concepts that I had questions on in the book, and it really helped further my own research and my own ideas. Definitely. I think Christmas break, when I basically spent all my time working on my book, and all my friends weren't in school, didn't have jobs for 3 weeks, so nothing was going on, and constant, do you want to do this, do you want to do this, no, and I was just getting so tired, and I think I definitely had doubts then, because we were going to find out if our book kind of made the cut, and I was thinking if this book doesn't make the cut after all this work. So that was definitely a time of self-doubt. And then there were definitely later times when I was trying to figure out what my business was going to be, and how it was going to connect to my book, and how it was all going to come together. And there was definitely a time for a while where it just seemed like two different things that I had a hard time bringing together and making one idea and one brand. But once I figured that out, it seemed like everything kind of clicked. Feeling very excited. If someone told me a year ago that on April 25th there would be a published author, I 100% wouldn't believe it. I'm nervous, but mostly excited because I can see all of the hard work finally coming together. Extremely. I'm extremely proud, and I remember when I was writing my college essays, my mom would always be like, if only you were a better writer. I'm sorry, Mom. Because, I had everything going for me, a good GPA and whatever, but my essays were just kind of so-so. And Georgetown requires 2 humanities and writing classes, which is really awesome, so I think my writing developed a lot through that. But it developed tenfold during the book, and I just know as each revision I went through, and I kind of got sick of reading it over and over again, and realizing that I'm a very long-winded person, as you can probably see from this interview, and I write the same way I speak, but after I kind of got through it so many times and kept making tweaks and changes, I think it's come very, very far, and now, I'm not nervous to write. I write blogs for my blog, and I read them through once and say, this looks awesome, and I'm confident in myself, in my writing, and it's definitely the first time in my life that I've really been confident in my writing, so. Amazing, so exciting. Everything really came full circle. I actually remember that you suggested to us that we go to Barnes & Noble or something and look at book covers. So one day over break, when I was really stressed out, my mom was like, you're definitely gonna make the cut, let's go look at book covers, because I had told her about it. So we went together and we just walked around and looked at covers, and I remember that light blue color that my cover is and that our logo is was just my favorite color of all the covers, and that's actually what inspired me to want the cover to be that color and the logo to be that color. And then kind of when I saw it all come together, it really did scream my name, and I was so happy to see it. So. Right, so it was kind of the opposite of, I guess, the way things normally happen, because I would think normally you start at a broad concept and then you start to detail in on smaller things, whereas I started with my one product, my plate, which I was very narrowed in on a very narrow concept. And then when I stepped back, when I was writing the book, I didn't realize it until after I finished writing the book, but I kept thinking about it and trying to think. I was trying to plan my website and this and how it would relate to the book, and I just kind of kept hitting walls and thinking how is this all linked? And when I realized the broad concept I realized that that was the foundation for a business, for a brand. As a marketing major, I'm really passionate about the way a person can connect to a brand and how much a brand has to offer besides selling things, like with their blogs. And I follow a lot of great blogs, and I learn a lot, especially in the health and fitness world, because a lot of communication isn't necessarily sold. It's free out there on the internet. And I think that, that's something coming from certain brands who publish a lot of awesome content. That's what gives me their brand loyalty. So I wanted to create something like that. And I realized that my book gave me kind of the foundation to create that. And so my narrative part was one part of a larger kind of empire that I hope to create. Awesome. So it started, I guess, as just like a passion for health and wellness, based on my own personal experiences and struggles with, dieting and weight loss. And so in the beginning, like I had one idea for a product that I kind of just wanted to run with. But the more that I interviewed people and talked to people about their experiences, I realized that it was so much bigger than just one thing. And so many people of different ages and different genders are experiencing kind of the same problems that I did. And so I wanted the book to be more than just a book that someone could read, but something that people could really apply in their lives. And so I started a startup called CUSP 365 so that I can help people apply the ideals that they learn in my book in different areas of their daily life. And so some of our products include my original product, which is a plate to help you eat balanced meals, but it goes a lot further and encompasses an app that we're developing so that people can actually apply the method in their everyday lives, in their both eating habits and exercise habits, and just also doing like workshops and health coaching so that people can really have a personalized approach to their own health. In the beginning, since basically last summer, I had kind of decided that, I really have always seen myself as an entrepreneur. I would love to start my own business young, out of college, because I think that's a time when you're most likely to take risks without being as hurt by them. The older you get, the risk kind of has more weight, if you have a family that you're taking care of and you need this income. And so I always had that idea in the back of my mind, but I couldn't really see it coming to fruition as much. And so as I started to go through the process, I started to be less, in cloud land about it all and think like, oh, this is so great. It's like, I'll work hard and I'll get there, and realize how hard it is. And I started to realize how you kind of have to teach yourself everything. And you wish that you knew how to do everything already, because you would love to just do everything yourself, because it's just easier to do it yourself than explain to someone what you want them to do and have to wait for them to do it. And so I've hit that wall a lot, and that's what's made me learn so much and made me grow in ways that like my education just couldn't have taught me, because you're nailed into one or two majors, unfortunately. Like last week, I was working on my Kickstarter and I really wanted to create like a mock-up for the app, but I have no idea how to code or do anything like that. And I was like, spent the whole day just Googling all kinds of things and finding UI softwares, and I finally came up with something that I liked. And after hours and hours and hours, when you see something that you did and you create it that actually looks good, and you did that yourself even though you had no background in it, it's a really great feeling. And so I guess just the whole journey, and that's how the book was too. Like, I didn't know how to write chapters or form stories or take people's stories and make them interesting and relate it to science and real life actions that people can take every day, and all these things that I had to kind of figure out how to do. So I guess just learning every day and always being open to learning more is one of the things that it taught me. One of the main ones is kind of like your outline for your book is kind of similar to a business plan. So I've written a few business plans, and they've changed like tenfold. And so the same with the outline to my book. Like, I didn't know it was going to be CUSP, and I didn't really know that all the chapters were going to be stories. I thought it was going to be 9 chapters, and it turned out to be 21. So as I went along the way and started to learn more and change more, you kind of just update and keep going. But you don't necessarily go back and type a whole new document and perfect it. And that's kind of the way it is as a life of an entrepreneur. You're kind of always making changes. And so that's one thing. I guess another thing would be the way that you're constantly learning again. Like, you learn from others, I think. So like, I was lucky to be in an environment where, you know, I was surrounded by people who were also writing books and going through the same things I was, and sometimes we would talk about like, oh my gosh, we have so much work this week, it's gonna be horrible, like, and so the same thing with the business, but it's a little harder for me with the business because I'm not really in a community of entrepreneurs, although there are a good amount of entrepreneurs here at Georgetown, which is, you know, better than a lot of other environments. Like when I graduate, I'll kind of just be, you know, by myself on my own. I still do see that community aspect in Startup Hoyas here, and just learning from other people is really big too. And I guess the last thing with the book being really related to starting a business would be like the mentorship you get from it, because as a young entrepreneur and as a student, like the advice of my wonderful professors have been very, very helpful in moving my direction, and that was the same with the book. So I'm lucky to be in that learning environment still, where, you know, people don't think you're stupid and people actually want to give you advice. When you're an adult, they kind of will just be like, that's not a good book. Like, so I think those three things were the main connections I saw. It's awesome. So I've been doing workshops, different sororities and different clubs and organizations through different campuses, mostly through friends and people I know. And my first one, I was incredibly nervous. But I kind of just, you know, did the fake it till you make it kind of thing. I pretended that I had done them before. I said, this is our, you know, wellness workshop. It's completely tailored and customized to a college environment. I've interviewed hundreds of college students. And I kind of just went through, you know, my method, and then specific tips that really apply to college students and things they can apply in their life every day, simple things that they can change, so that change seems kind of easy and seamless. And I remember that night on my startup's Instagram, got like 100 extra followers, and I was like, oh, I guess they liked it. And then I kind of went from there and started scheduling more, and it's been a really, really fun experience. And what it really has shown me is that so many people out there can relate to my experiences, whether or not it's in a really small way. Like, hey, you know, I've had some issues with my weight, you know, at some point in my life, or a larger way. Like, I struggle with an eating disorder, and I've had people really come out with like really personal stories to me, which is really meaningful and really impactful and inspires me further. And so I think that just talking to people and teaching people about what I've learned and seeing how excited they are to try to implement it in their lives, and, you know, how they tell me they can't wait to read the book, that's something that really makes me believe that the thing that I'm passionate about has a lot of validity, and there's other people out there who could really use what I have to teach. I think in the beginning, although they've always been extremely supportive, they were a little nervous because it's definitely like a big risk. You know, being a Georgetown graduate and wanting to start your own business, and they thought the book was like an incredible opportunity, and they couldn't even believe I was gonna write a book because, you know, I'm a business student, I'm not an English major, like they've never like thought of me as a writer necessarily. But as it started to come together, I think they kind of went through the roller coaster with me, and of the times when I had doubt, maybe they also had doubts, but they were always supportive and bringing me up. And, you know, when all of my ideas kind of came together, I remember just how much they reinforced me, saying like, wow, like it really has come together, and I can really see this being your future. And like, just knowing my personality, they say like they know I won't fail because I'll just keep trying. So. Dr. Susan Ratched, who is a professor at Washington University of St. Louis. She is a professor of human nutrition there, and she actually really helped me with my book so much, and I just can't wait for her to see a signed copy. She was one of my first interviews, and I wrote handwritten notes for them, and I went back when I was, you know, starting to look for book blurbs in all stars, like, she is awesome, we really connected, like, reach out again or something. And so I remember reaching out to her again with, you know, what I thought was my final draft of my book, which I had redone like 20 times over that after that, and said, you know, would you mind providing a blurb for me? And this was something that, you know, as a doctor, it would be really awesome to have someone who has an extreme medical background to support this. And so she went through and read every word. And not only once, but twice. So the first time she went through and read every word, she caught my silly, I missed a the things, and she also caught, some medical things that she said, this should be worded this way, this sounds better like this is something you need to read more on. And it educated me a lot, and it also made my book extremely credible as someone with her education that approves of everything I said in it medically. And so I made all the changes, and then she wanted to make sure that I made all the changes. So she reread it again and found a few more things. So I'm really excited to share it with her, and it's kind of crazy. It turns out that she'll happen to be in Washington the weekend, the couple days of the book launch, because she's coming for a health conference, and so she's going to come to the launch. So. I see my trajectory as becoming my own brand, and I kind of see it happening now. And by doing that, creating a community of followers, I'm hoping that when people actually read the book, although a lot of people have already made like pre-orders on Kickstarter, I hope that they read the book and actually at least skim it and get the key takeaways. But I think that once people actually read the book, they'll really understand the things that I'm talking about and passionate about, and I hope that will mobilize them to, share it with a family or friend. I think word of mouth is really powerful and things that people emotionally can relate to. And when you get, a recommendation from someone who's close to you, like your best friend or your mom, to read this book, it goes a lot further than something you randomly see on social media. So I'm hoping that through more and more people reading the book and starting to follow our social media, by the time that our app comes out next year, people will want to subscribe to it and want to really apply the tenets of CUSP in their everyday life. And truly, there's not really any other apps out there that really apply psychology of human eating behavior and also nutritional science. And so there's different, features maybe that other apps offer, but no app out there right now brings it all together the way this app will. And so I am hoping that, my trajectory will be to really be my brand and continue to be my brand and continue to inspire others to follow it. I think the perfect reader is someone who is sick of dieting or feeling unhealthy, feeling sluggish, low energy, not productive at work. It's not just about losing weight, but losing weight is a really good plus for people. A lot of people would love to lose 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds. Some people would just like to feel healthier throughout the day, like to have more energy and sleep better. So anyone who's really looking for a change in their health and to transform it, anyone who's looking to live a really balanced life, not to be restrictive to themselves and follow strict diets, anyone who's looking for truly long-term health that doesn't depend on losing weight in 7 days like a lot of these quick fix diets promise. That person, if they read my book, I hope that they will receive the learnings that they need to apply into their life and transform themselves into a healthier, happier person who, feels balanced and at peace with their health, feels happy and confident that they really live a super healthy life and enjoy all the special things in life, like cookies and cake and ice cream sometimes. And I think that person is the happiest person, and I hope that my book can bring them that happiness and that health so that they can live a long life. So as a 22-year-old writing a book, I didn't want people to feel intimidated that I was some know-it-all who's half their age when they were possibly reading this book. So I kept the tone super informal, just like myself. So if you think I'm a fun person to listen to right now, you would probably think that the tone of the book is really fun. Something really special about it is that every single story is real. It's a real person. I changed their name, but it's things that they told me that they went through. And it's really relatable. The stories are fun and upbeat, even though sometimes they're filled with a lot of emotion. And the way I tell the stories, I always try to keep, some jokes and lighthearted humor throughout. It's a really fun read and an easily digestible way to completely change your life instead of something that's so heavy. It's a beach read, but it's also a beach read that will change your life.